Welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host Yeshi. Here are the headlines. China facing diplomatic hate and isolation after standoff with India. Contract workers in Gilgit-Baltistan hold anti-government demonstrations, demand regularization of jobs. And India's Odisha celebrates its harvest festival Nuakhai amid COVID-19 pandemic. Let's begin the show. China, which is facing diplomatic heat and a gradual isolation owing to its consistently nefarious designs across the globe, is now working overtime to shift people's attention. It alleged Indian army of being aggressive along the Ladakh border and said Indians made air fires to assert pressure and threat in Chinese PLA. The Indian army, which holds a reputation for never intruding an inch in others' territory, has rebuffed the claims and says it was Chinese army involved in the misadventure. India says China, which occupies a significant portion of Indian territory, Aksai Chin, has been consistently endeavoring to alter the status at the border and have grown frustrated following India's preemptive measures that have thwarted their plans. Our report.
A growing anti-China sentiment across the globe has baffled Beijing. From the USA to Australia to Vietnam to countries in the South China Sea, everybody has been accusing it of impropriety. While some say it has made illegal intrusions into the sovereign territory, others accuse it of unilaterally breaching trade regulations for its own benefit. Some have even blamed it of being complicit in the spread of the pandemic. And since it has failed to confront them on facts, a new strategy has been devised by the Communist Party of China. The strategy of shifting focus and misleading its own people who are losing confidence in the government. Its periodic misadventures at the Indian border have been re-strategized and escalated into a sustained, prolonged standoff. Since incursions couldn't draw the attention Chinese sought, and assertive Indian forces took firm control of their borders, Chinese recently launched unprovoked firing along the border, first in over 4 decades.
अभी इंटरनेट और मोबाइल वगैरह नहीं चलने की वजह से अभी हमें बातचीत नहीं हुआ। इतना हमें ज़रूर पता हुआ कि आज रात को काफ़ी लार्ज सर्कल पे 1.5 घंटे के तरह 1.5 घंटा फायरिंग हुआ है, आर्टिलरी फायरिंग हुआ है।
आज सुबह 3 बजे वहाँ पे फायरिंग शुरू हुआ, तो जिससे पब्लिक में एक डर सा माहौल पैदा हुआ है।
While locals testified what transpired at the border, Chinese have come up with an alternate version of the truth in which they say that it was the Indian army that launched unprovoked firing along the border. While the Indian army and civilians living along the border say that the firing took place in the wee hours, Chinese statement which didn't clarify on any issue said that their teams were heading for talks.
9月7日，印军非法越线进入中印边境西段班公湖南岸神炮山地域。印军在行动中悍然对前出交涉的中国边防部队巡逻人员鸣枪威胁，中国边防部队被迫采取应对举措，稳控现地局势。
But who goes for the official talks at 3 a.m. in the morning? Maybe Chinese PLA has a tradition that no country in the world follows or is aware of. Its lies have fallen flat before the world. India, on the other side, maintains that it will continue to protect its borders with full might. It has beefed up its security along the border. Indian troops along the Pangong Lake, the strategic location of the recent standoff, have already secured the vantage points. Recently, New Delhi also inducted French fighter jet Rafale into its forces, a move that experts say has not only widened India's arsenal but will bolster country's war capabilities. Earlier in the week, India had also successfully tested a hypersonic vehicle of 6 times the speed of sound. Its first step towards developing a family of very high cruise missiles.
Moving on, while the Afghans have grown increasingly optimistic of the ongoing peace process between the Kabul establishment and the Taliban, the minority, especially the Sikhs and Hindus, continue to flee the country owing to rising fundamentalist atrocities in the region. India, which is home to both the religions, has reached by facilitating their relocation. Scores of Sikhs and Hindus have travelled New Delhi in last couple of weeks. Incidentally, India had last year amended its Citizenship Act, allowing persecuted minorities from its neighbourhood, including Afghanistan, to seek Indian citizenship.
A batch of over 150 Afghan Sikhs landed New Delhi on 3rd September. Latest in the series of persecuted Sikhs travelling India for safer environment and greener pastures. As many as 420 Afghan Sikh and Hindu families have come to India in just 2 weeks following extraordinary persecution they say they suffered at the hands of Islamic radicals, including Taliban. While the radical cruelties targeting minorities they say were always widespread in Afghanistan, it was India's landmark Citizenship Amendment Act that provided them hope and motivation to leave the country. They are grateful to the Indian establishment.
आज 16 दिन हो गए हमें तरी आए हालात तो ऐसा है कि बम ब्लास्ट हुआ और सब परिवार छिड़ गया तो सब कुछ नहीं रहा जायदाद वगैरह सब छोटा भाई मम्मी सब चले गए तो हम सबको छोड़ के आ गए इधर हम इन लोगों का धन्यवाद करते और हमेशा हमारी खुशी है और वायरों की खुशी और रहने की खुशी है बस.
Last year, India had come up with the act allowing persecuted religious minorities from its neighbouring countries to seek Indian citizenship. Since then, a large number of foreign nationals who were living under refugee status in the country have been granted citizenship by New Delhi.
दो 200 परिवारों को अब तक दिल्ली से गुरुद्वारा मैनेजमेंट कमेटी लेके आई है. इनके रहने का, सहने का सब इंतजाम भी दिल्ली से गुरुद्वारा मैनेजमेंट कमेटी कर रही है. इनकी टिकट के पैसे भी जो हमारे साथ सहयोग दे रहे हैं विक्रमजीत सिंह सानी और अमेरिका की संस्थाएं वो हमारा साथ दे रही हैं इसमें. इसी तरह इनके रहने के, इनके यहाँ दिल्ली में आके घर मिले इनको, इनका कारोबार हो, उसके लिए भी हमारे पास वेरियस सिख संस्थाएं जो हमारा उसमें सहयोग कर रहे हैं और हम इनको किराए पे घर लेके दे रहे हैं.
Afghanistan, on the other side, has been constantly losing its minorities, with 95% of them vanishing in last half-century. Victims say they were brutally targeted during the Mujahideen rule in 90s, and the situation only worsened after that. There was a brief reprieve in former President Hamid Karzai's initial administrative days, but violence returned as Taliban gradually gained ground. 26th March Kabul Gurudwara attack was a sharp reminder of how the fundamentalists haven't changed their stance even when there are growing talks about the peace process. While the Afghans, irrespective of their religious identities, have lived in harmony, it is the radical Islamists who have time and again carried out systematic drives against minorities. The United States Congress has described Afghan Hindus and Sikhs as endangered minorities and has even passed a resolution aimed at resettling them in America, but as of now, it is India which has been walking the talk. The government says it is committed to bring back all persecuted minorities from its neighbors, whether it is war-torn Afghanistan or radical-driven, radical-governed Pakistan.
Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch.
Beijing's largest wholesale market of fruits and vegetables has been in regular operation since it was fully reopened, with continued adoption of strict anti-epidemic prevention measures in place. The Xinfadi wholesale market in South Beijing's Fengtai district was temporarily closed for 80 days due to a small surge in COVID-19 cases in June. After the reopening, the market is allowed to operate wholesale of farm produce only and is not open to individual consumers. All the underground or semi-underground trading areas in the market have been permanently closed to eliminate any hidden danger of possible virus outbreak. In a bid to meet retail demand, the market has set up a convenience vegetable market next to the main market. For wholesalers and retailers, the market is providing various supports to help them recover the business and reduce the loss. Since June 11, Beijing had reported 335 confirmed COVID-19 cases linked to a cluster of infections in a Xinfadi wholesale market. By August 6, all the patients had been discharged from hospital. Typhoon Haishan drew closer to Japan's southern main lane, cutting power and prompting authorities to recommend evacuation and warn of potentially record rainfall, unprecedented wind, high tides, and large ocean swells. Authorities urged early evacuation for more than 100,000 households in the southern island prefecture of Okinawa and in Kagoshima, Kumamoto, and Nagasaki on Kyushu, Japan's main southern island, according to Fire and Disaster Management Agency.
台風第10号は大型で非常に強い勢力を維持して、明日にかけて九州にかなり接近または上陸する恐れがあります。広い地域でかつてない記録的な大雨、暴風、高波、高潮となる恐れがあり、最大級の警戒が必要です。
One evacuation center in Miyazaki reached capacity and stopped accepting evacuees as a precaution against the coronavirus, according to public broadcaster NHK. Airlines have cancelled more than 500 flights departing from Okinawa and southern Japan. Bullet train service in southern and western Japan was suspended. The typhoon is forecast to have atmospheric pressure of 945 hectopascals at its center and sustain winds up to 260 km per hour. Heroes from various fields could be seen everywhere across China at the critical moment when COVID-19 broke out. After the outbreak of the epidemic on December 2019, professionals like medical workers, experts, community workers, and police officers joined in the fight against it at once. Chinese President Xi Jinping presented the Medal of the Republic and the national honorary title, the People's Hero, to people who made outstanding contribution to the country's fight against the COVID-19 epidemic.
长城内外，大江南北，全国人民心往一处想，劲儿往一处使，把个人冷暖、集体荣辱 国家安危融为一体。
In addition, 1,499 individuals, 500 groups, 186 Communist Party of China members and 150 primary level party organizations were commended for their roles in fighting the epidemic. Another 14 party members were posthumously awarded. Police officers made the special contribution in maintaining social order amid the epidemic, some of which even sacrificed their lives. She stressed that it is ordinary people who threw themselves into the fight that helped China to get through numerous disasters. Medical workers actively took their responsibility for the prevention and control of the epidemic. And so did the community workers from places where COVID-19 once ran rampant.
Moving on, thousands of contract workers in Gilgit-Baltistan, a territory under illegal occupation of Pakistan, have launched a massive protest against the establishment demanding regularization of jobs. After years of struggle, the workers had managed to get the bill ensuring their permanency passed, but the bureaucracy, which comprises of the officers installed by Islamabad, have been barricading its implementation. Protesters have also threatened to intensify their movement to the extremes if their demands are not met immediately this time. We have a report. Around 6,000 contract and contingent employees serving in different departments of illegally occupied Gilgit-Baltistan recently staged a protest in front of the Chief Secretary office for the regularization of their jobs. Even though the Assembly has passed the Regularization of Contract and Contingent Employees Act 2020 and the Governor of Gilgit-Baltistan Raja Jalal Hussain Makpoon signed it on June 26, it has still not been implemented. The protesters demanded the immediate implementation of the act, which should have been done around 2 months back.
हमारा मुतालबा ये है कि हमने यूनानिमसली इस असम्बली ने इस बिल को पास किया, तकरीबन 2 महीने गुजर गए, अभी तक इस बिल पे इम्प्लीमेंटेशन क्यों नहीं हुई। ये जो आप देख रहे हैं इतनी बड़ी तादाद में, ये बेसिकली 6,000 नहीं, ये 36,000 लोग हैं। हर बंदे के पीछे एक फैमिली है, 6 बंदे, उस फैमिली को वो एक बंदा जो है उस फैमिली को की देखभाल कर रहा है। तो ये आप इनमें देखें ज़्यादातर एम्प्लॉइज़ की उम्रें भी गुजर चुकी हैं। कोई 50 में चल रहा है, कोई 49 में चल रहा है, कोई 55 में चल रहा है। 15 साल से ये अपने गिलगित बल्तिस्तान गवर्नमेंट को सर्व कर रहे हैं, लेकिन इनकी सुनवाई नहीं हो रही है। अब चूँकि एक भी आ गया, लॉ पास हो गया, अब उस लॉ को इम्प्लीमेंट करने में क्या मसला है। हम यहीं अपने हक के लिए आए हैं कि जी ये लॉ जो है, ये बिल जो है फ़ौरन इस पर इसको नाफिजुल अमल होना चाहिए और हमारे मुतालबात जो हैं उनको तस्लीम करना चाहिए।
Blaming the bureaucracy for their sufferings, the protesters said that it has been standing as a stumbling block in their way, but they will not step back and will continue their protest until their demands are fulfilled.
इस एक्ट के अमल दरामद कराने में वाज़े तौर पर ब्यूरोक्रेसी रुकावट है। हम इनके इन ताख़िरी हरबों और इस तरह के ओछे हथकंडों की भरपूर मज़म्मत करते हैं और अगर फौरी तौर पर इसको नाफिजुल अमल नहीं किया गया तो हम आखिरी हद तक जाएंगे। आखिरी हद से मुराद ये है कि हम हत्ता की ब्यूरोक्रेसी की इनखला का भी मुतालबा करेंगे, जो हमारी हर तरह की आज़ादी और ख़ुद मुख्तारी में वाज़े तौर पर रुकावटें डाल रही है।
There are around 5,000 contingent employees who have been serving in Gilgit-Baltistan for many years at nominal salaries. Few employees are even paid ₹1,000 monthly, which is also the violation of minimum wage law. Time and again, Gilgit-Baltistan government has made fake promises to regularize the contingent employees, but nothing has been done thus far. Being an agrarian society, India celebrates a number of harvest festivals. These festivals are an integral part of the country's cultural legacy, and over the centuries they have evolved in various forms. So today in our episode of South Asia Today, we will take you to the eastern state of Odisha to witness Nuakhai festival, which was celebrated in a somber way amid the worldwide pandemic. Have a look.
Food is considered sacred in India. The country celebrates a variety of festivals to offer their prayers to gods for blessing them with a good harvest season and abundant produce. Nuakhai, observed in parts of western Odisha and southern Chhattisgarh, is one such festival that marks the new season of rice. Though every year the festival is celebrated with great pomp and show, but this year, due to the worldwide pandemic, the celebrations were kept a low-key affair, with citizens observing it at their homes instead of thronging the temples.
This time the monsoon has kind enough. Right now the things are going in the right direction, and due to this pandemic situation of COVID-19, though it has not been celebrated widely, but every household they celebrate in their home, and it's the rich culture of our state.
Also known as Nabana and Navakhai, in some parts of Odisha, the three-day festival is a symbol of gratitude towards the god for blessing the citizens with good rain, favorable weather and lavish produce. Celebrated on the Panchami Tithi of Krishna Paksh of Bhadra month of Hindu calendar, preparations for the festival begins before a fortnight, which includes cleaning the house and buying new clothes. The festival breaks all caste and economic barriers and brings all citizens closer to each other as they all unite to celebrate the welcoming of new harvest.
पवित्र नुआखाई आई दिन समस्ते आबाड़ वृद्ध वनिता सका नित्यकर्म सारी सर्वप्रथम निजर जार जार खेत अच्छे समस्त खेत के जाकर समस्ते निजर जमी पूजा पाठ करी नुआ धान आनी करी समस्ते आगे दियो देवता मन के लगे करी तापर नुआखाई जासी.
As the word Nua means new and Khai means food, the festival Nuakhai revolves around food and the celebrations of healthy harvest. It celebrates the farmer's possession of newly harvested rice. Devotees cook relishes from the first produce of the season, also which is served as a religious offering or prasad to the respective deities. It is further distributed to the entire family and is consumed by a priest. Various traditional dishes and sweets like rasbhara, suji mada and khiri are prepared on the occasion, and this year, because of the pandemic, families enjoyed the meals at their homes and took the blessings of the elders, priests and the Almighty. The festival has a big significance for farmers and agricultural community, and also celebrates the renewal of mutual ties that spread warmth all around and binds the communities together in a spirit of solidarity.
It's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We will be back next week at the same time. This is Yeshi signing off from the entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.